like to begin my part of tonight's programming by talking about the country of my birth, which is the United States of America, which is the greatest country in the world, unless you believe in facts or statistics. Because facts and statistics have us firmly 37th in most shit. Except we are number one in the world in nightclub shootings. We firmly lead the world. We are the gold medalists of nightclub shootings. In fact, America's so good at nightclub shootings, we have certain neighborhoods that are number one in the world in nightclub shootings. East St. Louis alone accounts for 89% of the world's nightclub shootings. In fact, let's get more specific. A Chingy/Webby concert in East St. Louis accounts for 133% of the world's nightclub shootings. You guys go to Summer Jam? This is a beautiful country. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri originally. And God bless you. But yeah. You guys are nicer in the city when I say that. It's not good barbecue or ooh, it's, are you gay, nigga? So that's cool. I don't even know why they thought of that. It's a beautiful city, but it's a little bit different than the East Coast. Are you guys born and raised East Coasters? Yeah. You guys are weird, man. No, civilized? No, because that was the perfect East Coast reaction that you played right into my point. We would never question the civilization of someone from the same country. Did I just say that I'm fucking from the Taliban warriors from Afghanistan, motherfucker? We're from the same country. We're all civilized. It's the same civilization. We shop at the Gap. We don't drink water with our hands. Kansas City, Missouri. I didn't say I was from fucking... The gods must be crazy or some shit. But that's East Coasters though. You guys hate everything. This way East Coasters see America. You guys see New York City, racism, then the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. No, it is not true, ma'am. You guys, that shit is not all the same. I tell people I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and on the East Coast, they're like, I'm just so glad that you know how to read and stuff. I'm just so proud of you. I'm like, I said Missouri, not Mississippi, bitch. Those are two different places. No, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. That's the way places work. You can't go, oh, Ghana, South Africa, that's the same thing. They're separated by thousands of miles and have different histories, populations, and languages, but it's the same shit. No, it's not the same thing. And I spill whiskey when I get angry. But I learned a lot, though. I grew up with what they call Midwestern values. You may hear about this in campaign time. Midwestern values. Okay, for instance, here's the thing, East Coast people. Let me tell you about some differences. When you come to Kansas City's airport, and you ask the lady, excuse me, ma'am, what is there to do in Kansas City? This is the reaction you'll get. Oh, well, welcome to Kansas City. Please go down to the historic downtown where we have 36 different varieties of barbecue. Do you like the wood smoked stuff or do you like the applewood bacon smoked stuff? It's really good. Please go down to Southwest Boulevard. We have some of the finest Mexican food in the country. Please go down to Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. We have everything from European classicism all the way up to Andy Warhol, and it's free and open to the public. When I flew into New York for the first time I moved here, and I went up to the lady at the famous Annie's pretzel stand in LaGuardia Airport, and I asked her, excuse me, ma'am, am I in Brooklyn or Queens? This was her response. Fuck out my face, nigga! Which was crazy because she was Korean. I was like, oh my God. We don't got that back home. We have three races of people in Kansas City, Missouri. We have blacks, whites, and Mexicans. And if you are from Brazil, you are a Portuguese-speaking Mexican, because it's the same shit, am I right, guy? It's the same shit. Okay, here's another Midwestern thing that I learned moving to the East Coast. For number one, you guys think everything is racist in the middle of the country, but you guys try to pretend the East Coast isn't racist. You guys gonna try to pretend that Boston doesn't exist? You guys are, yeah. Fuck Boston. Is that a Knicks fan or something? Yankees fan, oh yeah.
At least they're not from Canada.
From Canada? Yeah, fuck them. They have the high education standards in healthcare. Why do we hate Canada? They've never done anything to anybody. We're like, fuck those motherfuckers. Because they're weak. But here's the thing, back to my original point, you guys try to pretend that the East Coast isn't racist. Number one, there's Boston. They had a race riot in the 1970s. Which means there's a black guy on Love Boat, but he couldn't go to school in Boston. That's what that means. Are we going to pretend that Long Island, New York doesn't exist? It's one of the most racist places in the world. You guys talk shit about Mississippi. Most racist place I've ever been is Long Island, New York. You know they're remaking the Amityville Horror about the haunted house out there on Long Island? They're updating it, and they have a black family that moves in, and the ghost moves out. That is how racist Long Island, New York is. But I grew up with Midwestern values. One of those values that I grew up with is that it's never okay for a man to punch a woman in the face in public. I thought part of being civilized was that that's not okay. Not according to New Yorkers. Anybody ever here rode a train during rush hour in New York City? What's it like? Awful?
Sardines.
Sardines? All of those are politically correct answers. Slave ship-like conditions. This is awful. For straight dudes in the room, you ever been on a train so crowded you changed sexuality for 2 stops? I was inside of the guy next to me. There's nothing homophobic about it. He just turns around, he's like, yo dude, don't breathe on the back of my neck. I'm like, alright. But I'm gonna hold your hand on this pole and demand you look at me, goddammit. You know something on this train, right? I mean, this is terrible, man. This train was so packed, people's faces were checked up against the glass like it was a devil's game. It's a stroller turned sideways, no sign of the baby. It's a pit bull sitting in a chair, not giving it up for an old woman, listening to its music out loud with no headphones over its iPod. And I was on one of these trains, and I don't know shit about math, but you guys ever study something about area? You guys remember area? There's no area on one of these trains, and somebody was trying to force their way on, this lady. And here's the great thing about New York is how polite that computer voice is, compared to when that door doesn't close for the 3rd time when that real New Yorker gets on. Here's our soundtrack. Bing, bing, stand clear to close doors, please. Bing, bing, stand clear to close doors, please. Bing, bing, stand clear to close doors, please. Bing, bing, yo, get the fuck off the doors! Bing, bing, you're being selfish! Bing, bing, there's another train behind this one! And all we saw out of this mass of humanity was a fist come through the 2 doors and punch this woman right in her face. Here's the thing, think about what a crowded commuter train is on the East Coast. That's every race, that's every gender, that's every sexual preference. All mixed together, and nobody objected. Not even a white woman murmur her disapproval, because that's what you guys do when wild shit happens. You don't do anything but you murmur your disapproval. Not even oh my god, he just punched that woman in the face. Nothing. So the moral of this story, ladies and gentlemen, is according to New Yorkers, there's a time when it's okay for a man to punch a woman in the face. And that is when she's being an inconvenience. Am I right, fellas? Am I right, baby? Same as it ever was, am I right? Same as it ever was, am I right? Same as ever was. You give it up. Alright guys, I have to go. My name is Peter Jr.